Iran's foreign minister has landed in Islamabad, and U.S. special envoys are on their way. Now, this is what people are calling could be a fresh push to restart stalled peace talks. But even before the talks begin, there's confusion over whether they will happen at all. The White House says senior envoys Witkoff and Jared Kushner will hold in-person talks with Iranian representatives in Pakistan, but Iran is telling a different story. It says no direct talks are planned. Instead, Pakistan may act as a go-between, relaying proposals. U.S. President Donald Trump also claimed that Iran plans to make an offer aimed at satisfying U.S. demands, but said he did not yet know what the offer entailed. When asked who the U.S. was negotiating with, Trump said, and I'm quoting here, "I don't want to say that, but we're dealing with the people that are in charge now." Now, Pakistan's Foreign Ministry said Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi had arrived in Islamabad to discuss ongoing efforts to regional peace and stability with Pakistani officials without directly referencing talks with Witkoff and Kushner. While Araghchi would visit Oman and Russia after the Pakistan stop to discuss efforts to end the war. Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, who led a first round of negotiations with Araghchi, is not attending. Vice President J.D. Vance, who led the U.S. side in the first round 2 weeks ago, would not be joining for the time being, but was on standby to fly to Pakistan if necessary.
The President has decided to dispatch Special Envoy Witkoff and Jared Kushner back to Islamabad. The Iranians want to talk. They want to talk in person. And so the President is, as I've said many times to all of you, always willing to give diplomacy a chance. So Steve and Jared will be heading to Pakistan tomorrow to hear the Iranians out. We hope progress will be made, and we hope that positive developments will come from this meeting.
Now, major gaps remain between both sides. Ahead of the talks, Iran said that the main subject in the negotiations was no longer in the nuclear issue, but instead ending the war in a way that secures the country's interests. Listen to this.
The main issue is ending the war in a way that secures our interests and demands. From the outset, we said we accepted this ceasefire because it could serve as the groundwork and prelude to a complete end to the war on all fronts, taking into account the country's interests, including compensation, the issue of the Strait of Hormuz, the lifting of sanctions, and all issues that are critical for the country's future.
Iran is refusing to negotiate while a U.S. naval blockade stays in place. It has tightened control over the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical oil routes. U.S. military says so far 34 ships had been turned back as parts of the U.S. blockade of Iran's ports. 3 merchant vessels have been seized so far.
No one sails from the Strait of Hormuz to anywhere in the world without the permission of the United States Navy. To the regime in Tehran, the blockade is tightening by the hour. We are in control, nothing in, nothing out.
The U.S. has deployed a 3rd aircraft carrier to the region, the USS George H.W. Bush. It has now 3 aircraft carriers in West Asia for the first time since it waged the 2003 Iraq War. And according to the U.S. Central Command, the 3 battle groups comprise over 200 aircraft and 15,000 sailors and Marines. And to give us more details, my colleague Susan Terani has sent us this report from New York. Let's listen in.
Signaling cautious optimism ahead of a possible new round of U.S.-Iran peace talks in Islamabad this weekend. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are heading to Pakistan, while Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has already arrived, showing both sides may be preparing for direct engagement through Pakistani mediation. President Trump, in an interview, said that Iran is preparing an offer that could satisfy U.S. demands, though he says details are still very unclear. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says that the Iranians want to talk and confirmed the U.S. has seen progress, at least in the recent days. At the same time, pressure remains high and intense. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth warned Iran still has time to quote-unquote choose wisely, saying that the U.S. naval blockade will stay in place as long as necessary and could collapse Iran's economy if a deal is not reached. Vice President J.D. Vance is also on standby. While he will stay in Washington for now, he may be headed to Islamabad if talks progress. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.